very good morning and welcome to Rise and Shine Daily. It's a Tuesday morning, of course, the 20th day of the month of June 2023. We are super delighted to have you join us once again. My name is Janice Kobum. Thank you so much for being a part of our show.
Good morning, Africa. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Akwa Ibom State. It's a good day to rise and shine wherever you are. My name is Uyai Anek, and thanks for joining Rise and Shine this morning. And we do hope that you are enjoying your journey with us on social media across all of the platforms, all of which you can find at spectrumtv.ng for those breaking stories, continuation and conversations that we have on our shows. Online platforms are the best places to catch up with us. Of course, great conversations going on at Spectrum T Online, that's on Twitter. Let's get talking and let's get your contribution on the issues and matters arising in Nigeria. Good morning once again, and thanks for joining us.
Yes, another amazing day on set. Of course, breaking news, breaking stories everywhere. And just like we had, had conversations before now in the course of last week, apparently, a lot of jostling for political positions and appointments and all of that. And then we had the breaking news yesterday. Now, for a lot of Nigerians, this is not coming as a surprise. I remember that when we had the suspension of Godwin Emefiele and also Abdulrasheed Bawa. There were lots of fingers pointing towards certain people in the country as to them being the next to, go down the chopboard of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And again, security has been a really serious bane in the country. Lots of fighting in and out. We have a lot of banditry issues, a lot of terrorism issues, and all of that. I remember that when we look at the past administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari, it was cladded with a lot of issues, to the point that it was said, look, it's like the service chiefs that we have at the time are not doing what you're supposed to do or have the capacity to lead the fight against terrorism in the country. And so Nigerians pressed for a revamping, an overhaul of the security apparatus at the time. And we saw that have the light of the day. Of course, former President Muhammadu Buhari actually decided to change the service chiefs. But here we are today, having to see the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu coming on the heels of few weeks to his administration, and a lot of changes is going down this particular administration. For some people, it's more like cleansing the system, and bringing the appropriate people, to fill those vacancies and try to see how, his government will scale through this period. It's not out of place that we have a new administration. We'll definitely have new people come on board, either by reshuffling of the old people or even bringing in some kind of new energy into the administration. I just know that all of what is happening in terms of reshuffling in the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the appointment of new people on board is just for him to have a safe administration, an administration that he knows that he, as the president, the #1 person in the country, is in charge.
That's a lot of great background that we're getting this morning, because as of yesterday evening, there was breaking news all over the place where we saw that the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, has approved the immediate retirement of all service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police, advisors, Controller General of Customs from service, as well as their replacement with immediate effect. Of course, this information was brought to bear by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Of course, Tinubu consequently appointed Nuhu Ribadu as his national security advisor. We also saw Major General C.G. Musa being appointed as Chief of Defense Staff to relieve those that have been immediately relieved of duties. We also saw the fact that Major General T.A. Lagbaja is now the Chief of Army Staff. We also see Rear Admiral E.A. Ogala as the Chief of Naval Staff staff. Also, AVM HB Abubakar is now the Chief of Air Staff. DIG Kayode Igbotun, Acting Inspector General of Police, and Major General EPA Udian Deye as Chief of Defense Intelligence. Of course, we also see the fact that the President also approved the appointments of Colonel Adebisi Onasanya as Commander Brigade of Guards. We also saw Lieutenant Colonel Moshood Abiodun Yusuf, 7 Guards Battalion, Asokoro, Abuja. Lieutenant Colonel Awola Baba Inuwa, 177 Guards Battalion, Kefi, Nasarawa State. Lieutenant Colonel Mohammed J. Abdul Karim, 102 Guards Battalion, Suleja, Niger State. Lieutenant Colonel Olumide A. Akingbe Sote, 176 Guards Battalion, Gwagwalada, Abuja. The President also approved the appointment of other military officers in the presidential villa. Major General Issa Farouk Audu is the commanding officer, State House Artillery. Captain Kazim Olalekon, I beg your pardon, Sumonu is the second in command, State House Artillery. Of course, we have their numbers right there, N/16183. The numbers are all there. We also have here Major Kamaru Kuyejo Hamzat. He's the commanding officer, State House Military Intelligence. Major T.S. Adiola, commanding officer, State House Armament, and Lieutenant A. Aminu, second in command, State House Armament. Of course, Senator Akume added that the President also approved the appointment of 2 additional special advisors and 2 senior assistants. These people are Hadiza Bala Husman, a special advisor, policy coordination; Hanatu Musawa, special advisor, culture and entertainment economy; Senator Abdullahi Abubakar Gumel, senior special assistant, National Assembly matters, Senate; and Honorable Barrister Olarenwaju Kunle Ibrahim, senior special assistant, National Assembly matters, House of Representatives. Adeni Bashir Adewale is now the AG Controller General of Customs. Of course, imperatively, all of these persons are going to be acting in their capacity until they are confirmed in line with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Of course, these were words brought to bear by Senator Akume as directed by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Great names, long list, new.
Definitely.
This is literally a power shuffle,
yes.
Like an entire cabinet. And I remember you having that conversation, I think that was last week now, talking about some of the people that we put in as special advisors, and when we had the Chief of Army Staff. And it's imperative to know that you cannot have a certain level in the military rule over. They can't take orders from junior ranks. So with regards to that, we are seeing the retirement of a number of persons because the President has decided to bring his next set of leaders from the lower rank, and this is sitting on different shoulders right now. The sentiments are different on the streets of Nigeria.
Yeah, definitely different.
Yeah.
We do not actually know the cadre where the President is actually getting this crop of leaders or this crop of military men from. But remember also that sometime 2 weeks ago now, we had conversations where the President, it was alleged that the President was going to be retiring over 300,
yes,
military personnel. So it's obvious that aside from the fact that these ones have to forcefully be retired because they cannot be getting orders from the junior, we are also going to be looking at another set of retirement depending also on the cadre that the President is getting, this particular personnel from as well. But a quick one now. The President has also appointed DIG Egbetokun Olukayode as the acting Inspector General of Police. So that displaces Usman Baba Alkali,
yes,
as the AIG, or rather IGP of Police. Now, all of these were, also things that Nigerians pointed fingers to as to the retirement of Baba Alkali. Now, Anyways, of course, DIG Egbetokun replaced DIG Johnson Babatunde Kokumo, who retired from the service on March 15 this year. Now, his appointment as IG was made known in a statement yesterday, of course, by the Secretary General of the Federation, Willie Bassi, trying to see if I can get like a profile of him now. Something very small on him. In 1999, he was appointed Chief Security Officer to President Tinubu when he was in Lagos State, when he was Lagos State Governor. Okay, so you're saying that there's some kind of link.
Most of these people have worked with him.
People that he has worked with, you know, when he was Governor of Lagos State. He also served as the Commander Rapid Response Squad, Lagos Squadron Commander, Mopol 5 Benin, Benin City Officer in Charge, Anti-Fraud Unit, FCT Command, Abuja, Chief Superintendent of Police Administration, Lagos State Command Headquarters, Ikeja, Area Commander, Oshogbo, Osun State Command, and Area Commander, Gusau Zamfara State Command, among others. Of course, a graduate from the University of Lagos, Akoka, Yaba, Lagos, with a Bachelor of Science degree in Mathematics in June 1987. He also lectured mathematics briefly at Yaba College of Technology, Lagos, before his enlistment into the police. He also holds MSc in Engineering Analysis from Unilag, postgraduate diploma in Petroleum Economics from Delta State University, Abraka, and an MBA from Lagos State University, Ojo. And that's it. Of course, the new Inspector General of Police, Egbetokun Olukayode.
Okay, moving now, we're going to take a brief profile of the Chief of Army Staff. Of course, he's one of the new appointees who has been given that responsibility, replacing Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya. Now, he was appointed by the former president. Yahaya was appointed by the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, in 2021. The new Chief of Army Staff is General Taurid Abiodun Lakbaja, and he was born in Ilobu, Irekbodun local government area of Osun State on the 28th of February 1968. So I served in his local government during NYSC.
Oh, wow.
So I share something. Of course, he attended Local Authority Teachers College Demonstration School, Oshogbo, between 1973 and 1979. Attended St. Charles Grammar School, Oshogbo, also between 1979 and 1984. The Polytechnic Ibadan from 1984 to 1986, and obtained West African School Certificate Advanced Level. He got admitted into the Nigerian Defense Academy on the 12th of September 1987 as a member of the 39th Regular Course, commissioned at 2 lieutenant on 19 September 1992 into the Nigerian Army Infantry Corps 31 years ago. Several courses to his honor: Company Amphibious Operations Course, Amphibious Training School between May and June of 1993, Young Officers Course, Infantry, Nigerian Army School of Infantry, Jaji, between September and December of 1993. Of course, he has training in Basic Airborne Course, Nigerian Army School of Infantry, Jaji, between March and April of 1995. There's a lot of courses here that he has garnered, bringing him up to this place. He's also Command Staff Instructional Appointment, several honors to his name. Now, promotion history, let's do this. He's been a second lieutenant. He was granted promotion as second lieutenant on the 12th of September 1987. Became a lieutenant on the 12th of September 1991. Captain, 12th of September 1995. We're reading the profile of the Chief of the Army Staff as appointed now by the President, Tauri. He became a Major General in the Army on the 12th of September 2000. Lieutenant Colonel, 12th of September 2005. He became a colonel on the 12th of September 2010. Brigadier General, 12th of September 2015. Now, Major General on the 12th of September 2019, he garnered several awards and honors: Forces Service Star, Meritorious Service Star, Distinguished Service Star. So a lot of things have given room for him to become the Chief of Army Staff. We also see him with a BS in Geography, Nigerian Defense Academy, MSc Strategic Studies, U.S. Army War College in 2014. He has participated in several operations. Operation Harmony 4 in Bakassi Peninsula, January 1999 till June 2000, United Nations missions, and the likes. Okay, these are several things you have to know about our Chief of Army Staff as stands at the moment.
Okay, let's look at the next person now. And of course, following, of course, the removal of service chiefs by President Bola, Rear Admiral Ikechukwu Ogala has been appointed as the new Chief of Naval Staff. Ikechukwu Ogala appointed as the new Chief of Naval Staff. He replaces Rear Admiral Awal Gambo, who was appointed by President Muhammadu Buhari in January 2021. Of course, Rear Admiral Emmanuel Ikechukwu Ogala was born on December 20th, 1968 in Enugu Ezike Igbo Eze, North Local Government Area of Enugu State. He obtained the first African school certificate from NMS Zaria in June 1987, where he graduated as the best in sciences, the best boy in sciences. He is a member of the 39RC NDA, graduated with a BSc in mathematics, and was awarded Sword of Honor as the best naval cadet in his course. He was commissioned lieutenant on September 16, 1992, and rose to the rank of Rear Admiral WEF on September 16, 2021. He completed his STC NNS Quora Basic Hydrography National Hydrographic School, India, in May 2000. Junior and senior staff courses AFCSC Jaji in November 2001 and July 2006 respectively. He was a participant of NDC course 22 and was awarded FDC in August 14. As part of the course, he took part in the MSc Strategic Studies program, University of Ibadan, from 2014 to 2015. So many ranks, of course, served on board many ships, including NNS Ambe, Aradu, Lana, Ekun, Agu, Kora, Beecroft, Delta, and Pathfinder. Now, these are very serious ships that he has served in as well. Of course, still during the period, there was a remarkable reduction in illegal activities in the marine area within the base area of operations. Of course, when he was in while on board NNS Ekun, he took part in the ECOMOG operations in Liberia in 1996. Also, as the base operations officer in NNS Pathfinder, he was responsible for coordinating anti-illegal bunkering operations, as well the entire policing duties of the base. Now, these are very interesting profiles here. It goes on and on and on and on and on, very deep profiles. But in all of this, I see people that have some kind of capacity, people that have, you know, conquered one or two when they were in charge of some kind of battalion and all of that. But it's a good thing. Of course, that's the new chief of Naval Staff now. Yes, the new Chief of Naval Staff, Ikechukwu Ogala. And we still have more, definitely.
Let's take the Chief of Air Staff. I like, you know, the Chief of Air Staff because I have relations with the Air Force. Me now, I should be named as a PA to the PA. Yes, being an Air Force child, by training. Let's do this. This just brought me nostalgia. When I saw the blue uniform, makes me smile. Okay, so we have the new chief of air staff as Bala Abubakar. Of course, he's replacing Air Vice Marshal Ishiaka Amao, who was appointed as the former by the former President Muhammad Buhari in 2021. We see the fact that Air Vice Marshal Hassan Bala Abubakar was born on September 11, 1970. He hails from Shanono local government area in Kano State. He enlisted into the Nigerian Air Force as a member of the NDA RC-39 and commissioned pilot officer on September 19, 1992. The Air Officer Commanding Logistics Command has attended several courses, some of which, of course, are listed in the profiling available. He has a Bachelor of Science degree from the Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna. Also, he has several courses, National Defense Course at the NASA Higher Military Academy, Cairo, Egypt, just to mention a few. Of course, his previous appointments, he was the very senior officer, has held several appointments, admin officer 16, engineering wing, 1 engineering group, NAF Makode, officer commanding admin services, flight/group, public relations officer, 97 special operations group, NAV Port Harcourt. Of course, a myriad of responsibilities that has brought him so far. Some of his awards and decoration: he is been awarded as Distinguished Service Star, Past Staff Course, PSC, Fellow Defense College, Masters in International Affairs. Of course, he has brought all this to the table as the new Chief of Air Staff for the Federal Republic of Nigeria as it stands.
Yeah, quite great, conversations and great appointments that has happened. But we are just going to pause it there on, the profiling of these new chief and, military chiefs that have been appointed. Another thing that has actually trailed this appointment since yesterday is the reactions of a lot of Nigerians. Now, the reaction is that the list is too Yoruba-centric, and Nigerians have been reacting to this particular appointment of new service chiefs, IGPs, and others. And the word nepotism actually trended on Twitter yesterday, saying that when we had the former president, former president Muhammadu Buhari, we all know Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians were of the opinion that he was very tribalistic in terms of the kinds of appointments and choices of places that he put his people in. He was very nepotic in terms of his appointments, and we see that happen again, in this particular administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And Nigerians are saying things like, okay, you say you're a unifier, you have come to unify the country, and we are seeing this kind of appointment take place. So we'll just take a few reactions from Nigerians and see what Nigerians are actually saying before we switch over to the news brief desk where Mary Joseph is standing by. Let's take reactions from Twitter. Of course, this is from Bayo Anonuga, one of the spokesperson of the president. He says, #service chiefs, there is no nepotism in the appointments. They follow federal character. According to him, a breakdown: Malam Nuhu Riba, the National Security Advisor, is from North. Adamawa. Major General C.J. Musa, Chief of Defense Staff, is from the North. Major General Taurid Abiodun Lagbaja, Chief of Army Staff, is from Southwest. We have Rear Admiral Emmanuel Ikechukwu Ogala, who is the Chief of Naval Staff from Southeast Enugu. AVM HB Abubakar, who is Chief of Air Staff, is from the North. DIG Kayode Egbetokun, Acting Inspector General of Police, is from the Southwest. Major General EPA Ujendaye, Chief of Defense Intelligence, of course, is from the South, Obudu, particularly in Cross River State now. And then, of course, he went on to say, for those folk accusing the Tinubu government of nepotism, the Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, is from Igbo Eze North, local government of Enugu State. Chief of Intelligence is from Cross River. So for Bayo Anonuga, Okay, so there's something again. It says critics should try to dig up for information before rushing to judgment. That's what one of the spokesperson for the Tinubu administration is saying. But again, we see Demola Olare. This is one of the spokesperson for the PDP. He's saying nepotism is now an official policy in the turn-by-turn Nigeria Limited from Buhari to Tinubu under APC. Everyone would join the queue, but some will wait longer than others until a party that believes in national unity and equity to all ethnicities takes over at the center.
These are reactions that are very important, one way or the other. But then when we look at the first tweets that we took, breaking down the information and where these persons come from, it's important that we give a balance. Okay, this is because Tinubu appointed his former CSO as the new IGP. He made a retired policeman NSA for the first time in our history. We blamed Buhari for nepotism. I guess Asiwaju is his pro-max. I wouldn't be surprised if Sheyi Tinubu is appointed Minister of Finance. One chance. Okay, that was from someone else. We also see here the newly appointed Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Emmanuel Ikechukwu Ogala, is from Enugu Ezike in Igbo Eze, North Local Government of Enugu State. Former Director, Audit Naval Headquarters. No Igbo as Service Chief is false and misleading. Nepotism South is Hadiza Bala. Okay. Still on the whole nepotism conversation that is trailing this particular appointment. President Tinubu made 21 key appointments today, and only one appointee is from the eastern part of the country. This is clear nepotism and a blatant exclusion of a race of people. You can't be preaching renewed hope and yet be towing the path of Buhari. No Igbo. Okay, of course. Some hashtag there. That was from Osijin.
And we have this from Omole Yesori. He says the package came with all the isms: nepotism, tribalism, cronism, and it's equals to padism. Hashtag revolution now. And of course, the last one here from Remy: Nigerians don't hate nepotism. They just want it to be their pal or kinsman. Those who honored Buhari for his pro-North appointment are silent now. Of course, our Yoruba man is doing the same thing. If PO gets there and packs out his dudes there, like his PCC list, some guys will also be silent. But these are serious concerns.
I like this particular tweet. Yes. It serves everybody because it's just going back and forth. It's not going to balance out. Of course, the need for the president to balance out his appointment is a different conversation. But that last tweet is saying something very what would I call it, pivotal to Nigerians. If it were to be your kinsman doing that, you'll be doing hot shots. But now that it's from another ethnic group, it's going to get this kind of repercussion. And I like the way he called out the obedience. If it were to be PO, that's Peter Obi now, for instance, making those appointments and making those from the southeast, we wouldn't hear lots of noise. So, but we remember that the president had said the most important thing to him is people who can get the work done over a lot of other sentiments, and I think this is guarding. But we know that his appointments are not done. Going forward, we may be seeing more spreading across other geopolitical zones in the country. But of course, we'll just put a pause to this. There's so much more to unearth around this particular appointment. When we return from the news brief desk, where Mary Joseph is standing by, Rise and Shine continues.
of State and Government, Secretary General, Distinguished delegates.
This was the Labour of Nigeria for Spectrum TV to improve 4560 county.
Morning begins with a report that President Bola Tinubu has promised to prioritize the health and safety of Nigerians as a means of preserving the productivity of its workforce. The president spoke when he received in audience the co-founder of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Bill Gates, and president of Aliko Dangote Foundation, Aliko Dangote, at the presidential villa, Abuja. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu will on Thursday travel to Paris, France to join his counterparts from across the world to participate in the Paris summit for new global financial pact. The Thursday foreign trip will be Tinubu's first since assuming office 3 weeks ago on May 29. According to a statement signed by the President's Special Advisor on Special Duties, Communication and Strategy, Dele Alake, the summit convened by President Emmanuel Macron of France will be held at Palais Brognaud. The President will participate, review and sign a new global financial pact that places vulnerable countries on priority list for support and investment following devastating impacts of climate change, energy crisis and after effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. In the meantime, the federal government has said it has set up a steering committee to consider the various demands presented by the organized labor following the removal of fuel subsidy. The Special Advisor to the President on Communication, Special Duties and Strategy, Dele Alake, and President of the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Unions of Nigeria, Joe Ajaero and Festus Osifo, respectively, disclosed this to journalists in a separate briefing after a meeting at the State House, Abuja. We head now to the foreign scene where US and Canadian search teams are racing against time to find a tourist submarine that went missing during a dive to the Titanic's wreck on Sunday. 5 people were on board when contact and the small sub was lost about an hour and 45 minutes into its dive. Reports say the rescue operation is continuing overnight in the mid-Atlantic, but there have been no signs so far of the vessel. Government agency, both countries, navies and commercial deep-sea firms are all helping the rescue operation. And finally, in sports, Kylian Mbappe scored a retaking penalty as France beat Greece to maintain their first record in European 2024 qualifying. The hosts were awarded a sport kick after Constantino's awful challenge saw him kick the head of a jumping Antonio Griezmann. The victory means France have won all 4 of their qualifying matches and have not conceded. They are top of the Group B and 6 points clear of Greece, who have played a game fewer. We'll have details of these stories and more in our news at 12. I am Mary Joseph. Let's head back to Rise and Shine where we have Janice and Uyai on standby. Do have a wonderful morning.
Secretary General, Distinguished delegates.
This was the Labour of Nigeria for Spectrum TV to improve 4560 county.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Every society is premised on the quality of relationships forged by its inhabitants. The health of these relationships determines how well people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai Anyekan on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday 2:30 to 3 p.m. on channel 421 on Star Times to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories, and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
All right, many thanks for still being there. Of course, it's Rise and Shine, and we just had Mary Joseph give us some tidbits from global scene as part of News Brief. And just to keep you up to speed with some of the things we have talked about this morning, of course, the big one, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has sacked the former service chiefs and appointed new ones. We have the NSA, which is from Adamawa. We have the CDS from Kaduna, Chief of Air Staff from Oshun. We have the Chief of Defense Intelligence from Cross River State, Chief of Air Staff from Kanu, and CNS from Enugu, IGP, of course, from Ogun State. Now, that doesn't also leave us without sentiments coming from some Nigerians saying that, look, there is a lot of nepotism in this particular list of appointed, or rather appointees. But at this moment, we'll just go straight now to see what the papers have for us. I trust our national dailies this morning, and of course the big story that we will be seeing on the front pages. So let's take daily spotlights.
Yes, on Daily Spotlight this morning, we'll start with the Punch newspaper. Big stories on the front pages of our national dailies. On Punch this morning says Tinubu removes security chiefs, customs boss, appoints Ribadu, Egbetokun, others. Abubakar named Air Chief Ogala heads Navy, Ribadu now NSA, customs get acting CG. Usman Musawa, Senator Gumel Ibrahim appointed advisors. President travels to France. Of course, we also have here that federal government's labor set up minimum wage committee, page 15. Airfares skyrocket as exchange rate hit 702 per dollar. Page 21 is where you can find details. Tinubu woos foreign investors, meets Bill Gates and Airtel founder. Page 14. We have a picture story there of some of the appointees. Tribunal again, LP, INEC lawyers clash over poll materials. Page 14. Family demands justice for slain Lagos cop, tackles Nigerian Navy. Pages 4 and 5 is where you can find details. Pilgrims fate uncertain as Saudi Arabia sets to close airspace. I beg your pardon, and that story can be found on page 21. That's all we have on the front page of the Punch.
Let's quickly run through the front page of the Nation newspaper. Of course, the major story there on Nation newspaper says Tinubu appoints service chief, CDS, NSA, IG, CGC. And the writer says more special advisors, SSAs named. We have a story here that says Labour Party and Obi INEC lawyers clash at tribunal. Subsidy palliatives plan ready. August says TUC NLC optimistic. Okay, Naira slumps to 770 Naira per dollar. Precedent for global summit in Paris. We also have that not eligible enough. Forex policy will open floodgates of foreign investments. Telco International CEO Dangote OK reforms. Bill Gates meets president. And that's all the stories that we have on the front page of the Nation newspaper.
Moving from the Nation right now, let's go to Nigerian Tribune. Looking at Nigerian Tribune, the big story, of course, same. Tinubu retires service chiefs, IGP, CG Customs, names Ribadu, NSA. Of course, there's also a listing of all those who've been named. We also have here subsidy. Federal government, Labour set 8-week deadline to agree on intervention measure. Subcommittee to decide on gas conversion, minimum wage, others. Page 2 is where you can find details of that story. Boards of parastatals, agencies, institutions dissolved, of course, by President Tinubu. Only presidential election results could not be uploaded. INEC presiding officers still called. Obi LP accused INEC of refusing to make documents available. Page 28 is where you can find details of that story. Picture story of the new appointees and a listing of some other appointments can be found on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Hadiza Musawa named special advisors. Nigeria's external reserves down by $438 million as Naira settles at 770.38 per dollar. Tinubu meets Bill Gates, Dangote pledges to prioritize health and Nigerian safety. Data protection, law breach, banks, telcos, others to pay huge fine. Details on page 6. And that's all we have on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune.
Daily Sun is our next paper this morning. I like the way that Daily Sun puts the big caption. It says, Hurricane Tinubu sacks and names service chiefs, appoint Ribado NSA and all of that. Of course, we have all of this on the front pages of all the newspapers that we have mentioned this morning. Tinubu to attend Global Financing Pact Summit in Paris. Of course, we have that already. ASU tackles federal government on student loan. Contends 90% of Nigerian students won't meet requirements. Demand students grants instead of loan. Page 27 is where you get that story from. Drug war. 31,675 arrested, 5,147 convicted, 6.3 mkg drugs seized in 29 months, says Mara. You have that story on page 4. We also have that NPAN congratulates Nge president and urges him to uphold professionalism and ethics. You have that on page 27. IBB, Abdusalami, Jonathan, Atiku, Obi, others eulogize Dr. C on page 20, on page 6, I beg your pardon, is where you get that from. And of course, Presidential Election Tribunal hearing, INEC, Amazon engineer clash on non-transmission of results. And the writer here says there was no network glitch, says engineer. Network failure responsible, insists Electoral Commission. And those are just the stories that we have on the front page of the Daily Sun.
Let's take a look at the Vanguard this morning. Same big story. Tinubu sacks service chiefs. Of course, we also see here that the naira has depreciated to 770.38 to a dollar as demand pressure hits iron E. Please find details on page 13. We also see here subsidy, Labour, FG set 8 weeks deadline to conclude dialogue, to page 27. NGE President Akpabio Abdulrazak Radar, NPAN congratulates Eze Anaba. Kebbi government moves to reopen FGC 2 years after bandit attacks, page 13. Nigeria spends over $500 million on importation of dairy products yearly, says Obaseki. We also have here Airtel flags of 5G services, pledges universality for subscribers. NNPC committed to FG's 2060 net zero plans, Kyari tells US. In sports, we see President Weir hails Osimhen's marksmanship. And those are all the stories that we have on the front page of the Vanguard.
Okay, great stories there. Of course, this day newspaper is supposed to be our last paper for the morning. But same old stories cutting across all the national dailies now. And we also have, of course, the big story here. Tinubu sacks all service chiefs, IGs, CG, custom advisors, appoints Bala Usman as a lot of names being mentioned anyways. We also have a different story here. Federal government takes urgent steps to avert oil vessel withdrawal over tax charges. And in break from military rule, in line with global best practices, it's police-led security. We have that Ribadu, police intelligence veteran, is now the NSA. CBN plans more currency measures to stabilize Naira. And those are all the stories that we have coming from our national dailies this morning. Quite interesting stories, I must say. And of course, the big one this morning is on the appointment of new service chiefs. That's a conversation we've had already. But then again, this is just to encourage us to be part of the conversation. What do you think? Are you on the side of some Nigerians that think that this particular appointment is so nepotic? Or you're on the side of the Nigerians that feel that, look, with the profiling of some of the service chiefs, yeah, more like this is capacity that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is bringing on board. So do well to join the conversation on our Twitter handle at SpectrumT Online. Drop your comments, drop your conversations, your opinions, and of course we do well to share them live here on set this morning. But today is 20th of June. The world over is being celebrated as World Refugee Day. And yesterday we had conversations with those from UN, am I getting that?
Yeah.
Yes, UNCHR, in terms of what they are doing, you know, to give some kind of succor, to bring some kind of succor to people that have fled their country home because of war or the fear of persecution. The fact that Nigerian government has been also very helpful in terms of stabilizing refugees, people that have taken camp and taken solace in this part of the country. And surprisingly, we have lots of refugees in Akwa Ibom State. As at the last count, over 1,600 refugees are here in Akwa Ibom State in different parts and different local government areas of the state as well. Today is World Refugee Day.
Of course, the theme of today's recognition of the World Refugee Day is hope away from home. Cadres of people that are referred to as refugees. One thing doesn't mean all the same things. So of course we had this conversation ahead of the celebration today. I will be taking you right into that conversation. Do stay with us. After this, of course, Rise and Shine still continues.
Refugee Day, and to join us give perspective to this conversation in Spectrum Television and of course on the site of Rise and Shine, we have a Foge Innocent, who is the zonal coordinator, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and IDPs South. Many thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and then we also have Evelyn Katono, who is the Associate Field Officer, United Nations High Commission for Refugees. Thank you so much and good morning.
Thank you for having us.
Now, yeah, we are talking World Refugee Day, serious issues like the introduction. A lot of people have been forced to flee their homes because of conflict, war-torn areas, with some of the things that are happening in places like the Russia-Ukraine war. Of course, we are going to be finding refugees, and it's not also something we shouldn't talk about, the fact that Nigeria has played host to a lot of refugees fleeing from their countries because of issues like this. But it's good that we are here to discuss this, and I know that there's an event going to happen in Uyo to commemorate this day, but just give us some perspective about the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, the mandate for this particular event. I think I'll talk to Evelyn.
Thank you very much. The UNHCR is a United Nations High Commission for Refugees. It's an organization, international organization that has been established by the UN to provide protection to refugees. So our mandate basically is to provide international protection to not only refugees. Of late, our mandate has extended to asylum seekers, to stateless persons, to internally displaced persons like in Maiduguri, and then also to returnees. Once refugees are returning home at the end of their period of asylum, they become returnees. So those are the categories that United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees supports, and our role is to ensure that refugees enjoy first of all, that they enjoy their rights and that they live in dignity. So basically we do that supporting the government, because the government is the one that has signed international instruments to protect refugees. So what we do majorly, our role is to support the government so that they are able to take on the role and their obligations towards and duties towards refugees. That is why the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees is here. We have refugees in Akwa Ibom as well as Calabar and in Cross River, and our office, we have a branch office in Abuja. That we also have a field office in Ogoja, and then we have a sub office in Ogoja and a field office in Calabar, which supports both Calabar and Akwa Ibom. We are also supporting Bakassi and Akampa.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
That's a large coverage.
Yeah, definitely.
And when we're talking about refugee, the numbers are increasing because in the last 1 to 2 years, we're just talking about Russia and Ukraine war, but now Sudan crisis has come in, and we saw Nigeria attempting to bring 5,000 Nigerians back, and they couldn't hit up that number. But quite a number of persons were repatriated back to the country, and I'm sure that these are parts, of people that you are providing coverage for. But when you say you are supporting the government, the federal government and the state government to provide respite for them, what kinds of support are you rendering? Are this financial, or what support exactly? Let's talk to you, sir.
Well, the government of Nigeria, actually is being supported by the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, financially and otherwise. You find the UNHCR providing a lot of support, especially in the areas of livelihood, in the areas of health, in the areas of psychosocial support, and some other education, and they provide accommodation for those who have been displaced and all the other stuff. Let me begin by thanking the UNHCR for the big support they've been giving to the Nigerian government. I happen to be working with the UNHCR in the whole of South on refugee, IDPs and migrant matters. Just like Evelyn said, we are having a large number of refugees actually coming into the country. For instance, we have 86,000 Cameroonian refugees
in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, as we speak. And as we speak, we are equally going to be carrying out registration and verification of those who have been here. The reason for the registration is that to find out, the actual numbers, if the numbers have increased over what we have, and also to verify if we still have the numbers that we used to have before.
Okay.
For instance, in Akwa Ibom here, we have 1,600 refugees here in Akwa Ibom, and Cross River State is hosting the largest number of refugees, Cameroonian refugees in Nigeria. We equally have people from other countries, like we have people from other countries who are here as refugees too. It's not only Cameroonian refugees. No.
Okay, so I think it brings me to my next question now. Yeah. Don't refugees, that people who are coming from other countries because of one thing or the other, don't they kind of pose a threat, to the sovereignty of the government where they are residing or seeking asylum?
No, they don't. They don't, because for instance, like what Evelyn mentioned, that the Nigerian government signed the treaty. We have the 1959 convention, and we have the AU convention of the 1967. The Nigerian government signed, and not only signed, they ratified those conventions, and by so the Nigerian government can host refugees, and they are not posing
any form of threat
to the government, because we have like you have heard, we are out there as a government to grant protection to them, and they are bound to abide by the laws of the land.
Okay.
You know, it's not that so because you are a refugee, you know, you don't, you are free to do whatever you like. It's not that way.
Okay. Now you've talked about refugees that come from other countries. Don't we have refugees like in Nigeria here, people that are Nigerians and are still refugees in their own country?
Well,
internally displaced people. Let's go to northern Nigeria now. A lot of people are displaced because of the issue of terrorism.
Now you are using the right term. There is a difference between a refugee and an internally displaced person. Okay. A refugee is somebody out of fear of persecution. You know, who have fled from, who is running away from his country and have crossed an international border.
Okay.
That you can call a refugee. But for somebody who is within Nigeria, let's say like we have a fight in Maiduguri, and you find somebody running away from Maiduguri to another part of Nigeria, that's an internally displaced person.
We needed to put that straight.
Yes. And like you have heard, my office is the one that is in charge. That's why when I was calling the names for you, see, we have a very long name. You know, the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons. Okay. You know, we are in charge of them, try to take care of them. For instance, you hear, you know, from the advent of my present commissioner, you find out that we have resettlement cities. She has been very busy, you know, opening resettlement cities for Nigerians who have been displaced. And not only resettlement cities, there are a lot of other programs, you know, that she has been into to ensure that, okay, people are meant to feel at home wherever they find themselves.
Okay, speaking of feeling at home, and part of the question that Janice just asked about, you know, when they are in these different environments that they migrate to, with Sudan crisis, there was a little bit of tussle with Egypt opening up their borders to allow people cross in from Sudan during the course of this crisis. It took several countries having to negotiate with Egypt. Some monies had to be paid. But I know when we are talking about signing of treaties and all of that, there's supposed to be a leeway that is easy to transit from nation to nation in terms of crisis. What, you know, how is the you know, the UN as the international body organizing all of this respite? How are they handling such issues when you get to a country that gives you difficulty with moving refugees around?
Right, that is where you find we have the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. When issues like that comes up, the UN swings into action. It's not as if people are just allowed to do, maybe governments are just allowed to, you know, have their way through that way. UN will definitely come in, you know, to resolve such issues, which is why you find out that even with all the arguments and with all the struggles here and there, at the end of it, the border is open for people to cross. Because again, you know, we have the law of no refoulement. You know, the law of non-refoulement means that you cannot, you know, send somebody back to a place where he or she is running away for fear,
okay,
you know, for fear of persecution or being killed. So, which is one of the reasons you find that Nigeria, our borders are open for refugees. Once there is crisis, the borders are open for them to come, and as soon as they come in, nobody, not even the police, can return them.
So in terms of this crisis, is there a period of time that a country can host a refugee for especially let's talk about refugees and maybe like stateless people. Now stateless people are even people that don't know, they don't even know where they come from. They just find themselves in a particular location and need to be identified. Is there a period of time where, because I think we're talking about yesterday now, we're talking about the flood related issue, and we are saying for some places they say we'll be able to host you just between 2 to 3 months until this issue is handled. With refugees and internally displaced persons, do we have a time frame to how much help they can receive?
Well, with refugees you cannot peg a time frame. You can't peg a time frame. It goes back to when whatever is causing them to run, when the issues are settled and the place is safe for people to return, and then the government of the day now sign agreements. For instance, if the Cameroonian refugees are going back, there is going to be a tripartite agreement signed between the Nigerian government, the Cameroonian government, and the UNHCR.
So no one just opts.
No, you don't.
No,
you cannot just hop in.
Oh, wow.
And then again, nobody's going to force you. to return. If you decide, it's a voluntary return.
So you can be in a particular country and want to be a citizen of that
course,
country.
you can decide and say you are not returning, and you just go through the process of getting the documents and all those stuff.
Okay, now let's talk about the refugees in Uyo. It's of course of interest to us. Has it been with them? How long have they been refugees in this particular state?
Well, I came in 2019 as a zonal coordinator, and upon my arrival, I discovered that there were refugees here in Uyo.
Okay.
Before my arrival, we were just hearing of scanty numbers. We tell you we have 500 and something refugees in Uyo. But with the help of Justice Development and Peace Commission of the Catholic Church, we were able to unravel that we actually had more numbers compared to what we were hearing before. And at that point, I brought it to the table before the United Nations High Commission through my office, and the UN swung into action, and we came into Uyo. Like you heard, we have 1,600 refugees in Uyo, but I believe as we speak, the numbers may have increased. Since 2019, the number may have increased, because like you still find people coming in. As long as they are still killing people in Cameroon, people will definitely flee, and when they flee, they come through the land borders into Nigeria. Once they come, it's automatic, because the refugee status they are given is a temporary refugee status. It's called temporary refugee status. That one was granted on prima facie, because when you have a very large number of persons trooping into the country, the government cannot say, okay, that you are going through the refugee status determination. We have what we call refugee status determination. It's a stage where it is that you have to pass through interview from one stage to the other, and if you are successful, you are given the refugee status. But when you have a large crowd running into the country, that is when the government grants the prima facie refugee status. So as long as they're still fighting, for instance in Cameroon, any Cameroonian that comes through the land borders to us, we automatically profile and register without any stress and grant the status.
Okay, so let me speak with
just to clarify, it is Cameroonians from the south.
From the southern Cameroon, not all Cameroonians.
That's the conflict region. Okay, so let me speak with you, Evelyn. Let's talk about identification of refugees and settling them in the spaces that they come into. For instance, when you say you come into how do you identify that a person is a refugee? Once they flee, is there a system in their head that says, okay, if I get to Akwa Ibom, this is where I should go and identify myself as a fleeing person? And then once you get them into the country, stabilizing them, in Akwa Ibom State, for instance, the refugees here, what are they doing for themselves?
Okay, so first of all, I must say that refugees are in different local governments. We have in Itu, where your station is based, we have refugees in Esereket, in Eket, in Oron, and in Uyo itself. So what we have done is to do advocacy and to continue with sensitization, to sensitize the refugees that are already present, so that they are able to know the services that UNHCR and the partners provide. When I mentioned that we deliver protection, we deliver protection through partners. NCFRMI is our government counterpart that is assisting UNHCR with registration of refugees. And we have FJDP that is providing protection and responding to GBV. We have the Nigerian Red Cross Societies that is responding to health. And then we have KUSO that is responding to livelihood.
So these are like little pockets of outlets that helps us identify that this person is a refugee?
If like a refugee, let's say someone goes to access medical assistance and they are not registered, the partner is able to know where to refer the people. But also UNHCR has collaboration with the immigration, and the police. We have done advocacy with police, with immigration. So any of those organizations or agencies that comes across any new arrival, they are able to refer them. We did registration earlier. That is how we were able to identify the number that we have. We still continue to identify them on daily basis. and to support them. So we are now going to do registration and verification exercise in the month of July. And even through this, we are still able to identify those that have not yet been registered to get them registered with our database.
Okay, so how do you run them into stability? Those of them that are in Akwa Ibom or in the south, how do you get them to do things? What are they doing to sustain themselves?
Well, before she goes into that, let me just make a clarification of identifying refugees. You find, like what she mentioned, we have the National Commission for Refugees on registration. You have the Nigerian Immigration on registration with the support from United Nations High Commission for Refugees. They give us the technical support. But the thing is, when refugees approach our office, the National Commission for Refugees and the Nigerian Immigration carries out what we call profiling. It is in the process of profiling that you actually identify whether an individual is a Nigerian or is a Cameroon that is running away for fear of persecution or whatever.
Okay.
You understand? At that stage, you are able to, based on questions you put across. And also the immigration goes further to look at some other areas. For instance, they might look at your accent.
Okay.
You understand?
To identify.
To identify, yes. They might look at your accent. Again, you know, when we had our vaccination in Nigeria, we have it up here.
Sure.
But for the Cameroonians, it's somewhere around here.
Okay.
So they use those means to identify. And then to go further, they might even ask you if you have the Cameroonian ID card. Although it is that one, they just ask because sometimes when you find people running away, they cannot go back to start picking documents and all those stuff.
Sure.
So those are just some of the ways.
But I think the question Ria is asking is very important because we don't have to be talking about refugees only when it is International Day to celebrate refugees and to encourage them as well. What do they do as they are in Akwa Ibom State or every other state that they occupy at this moment? Because when we even look at the resources of government, you find out that government will cry for lean resources. So when they are not even able to accommodate their own citizens, accommodating other people, other citizens from other countries is quite a huge burden on government. So what do refugees do while they are waiting for whenever peace is being restored in their different countries? Do they have skills? Do they have work?
The fact that refugees are persons with skills.
Okay.
They are persons with a lot of abilities. Secondly, I must say that the Nigerian government has been really hospitable, very hospitable to refugees, and in UNHCR we always appreciate that support that the government is rendering, and not just the state government but also the federal government and also in the local governments where refugees are. So in Nigeria, the system that we have some refugees that are in the settlements in Okoja, but most refugees are in the host communities. When they come, they are able to fit in with the host community, and like I said earlier, that we ensure that refugees have rights. So refugees have rights, especially like the right to work, the right to movement. They have freedom of association like any other human being or like any other Nigerian. So they will assimilate or fit into the community, and they are able to engage in activities, daily routine activities like work as well, so that they are able to get an income for themselves. On top of that, the UNHCR is also supporting some in livelihood or skills acquisition, but this is based on needs basis. We normally will support those with specific needs, though we because resources are not enough, we cannot target everyone. UNHCR, like you mentioned earlier, there's a crisis in Sudan, crisis where in all over the world. So we do not have the resources to cover everyone, but UNHCR comes in to provide assistance and maybe also to appreciate the refugees that are in Akwa Ibom State. There are Cameroonians within Akwa Ibom and refugee-led organizations, skill centers that are not even being supported by UNHCR, but the refugees on their own, they are doing something to already support themselves. We have a skill center in Itum, it's called DAC, and then we also have one in Calabar, and there are several others that are in the other locations where refugees are, that are supporting to empower one another.
Okay, let's
Well,
quickly
before-
talk about.
let me just add to what she has said, at least to make it so that people can understand what the support that refugees are getting and what they are doing.
Okay.
The Nigerian government have been good enough, to have made it possible for refugees to move freely within Nigeria.
Is this something that's not obtainable in other countries?
It's not obtainable in other countries. Most countries run the camping system.
Okay, they just put them in.
Yes, you put them in the
settlements.
camp and they give you, peanuts, to feed and all those stuff. But
And you
you need permission to move out, right? But in Nigeria, a refugee can travel from here to the end of Nigeria as long as the person is not crossing the borders, and you are free again as well to do business like every other Nigerian and to work. That is where we talk about the GCR, Global Compact for Refugees, which was signed by the Nigerian government. So refugees are free. Most of them are into business. If you go around, you find refugees owning shops, doing their business normally and all those kind of stuff. And you find some of them in schools. You find some of them who are even training other refugees.
Oh, fantastic!
And for the support that they get, you find that not only from UNHCR, we have some other NGOs, NGOs who are working with the National Commission for Refugees, coming to support refugees in the areas of livelihood and agriculture and everything.
Now we need to wrap this up very quickly now, but there's an event in Uyo. So it means that of course there's going to be lots of activities, right? Yes. So maybe you just shed some light on some of the activities that you'll be handling, for the World Refugee Day.
So we have we have organized today a road walk with refugees, and it is basically to express solidarity with the refugees and other displaced persons, and also to raise awareness, but it is not only for refugees, it is also for the host community, because they've been giving support to refugees even when we have not been there. The host community has been there. So after the roadwalk, we shall have an event. The roadwalk will take place at 4 lanes by Oron Road. And then we have another event which will take place at the Christmas village, and in the event we expect that we shall have some refugees showcase their culture and also bring together the host community to ensure that there's peaceful coexistence and harmony between them. So the event at Christmas village will start by 9 a.m.
Yeah, it's very important. That peaceful coexistence is very, very important. But Mr. Innocent, now a quick one, like a final word to those watching us right now, because we need to end this conversation.
Well, my final word to those watching us, to our audience, is that I just want to create the awareness that refugees, like what Evelyn said, they are human beings and they have rights. Because over time you find that some persons just want to, abuse the rights of refugees for the simple reason that, they are not from Nigeria. And that is wrong. It is wrong. There is nobody that is born a refugee. I that is talking to you can become a refugee tomorrow. I can become a refugee tomorrow. And that is the more reason why we, as Nigerians, should respect.
This year World Refugee Day is Hope Away from Home, and it just conceptualizes what you just said as your final word.
Well, I was going to come to Hope Away from Home, so it's important. We like the breakdown of the activities that I'll be holding today, the word work and community life, that will be had at the Christmas event center. So we do hope that at the end of your event here in Uyo you would have helped them to settle in some more, and we hope to hear more from you. Of course, Spectrum Television partners with the celebration of today to make sure that people all over the world in Akwa Ibom and in Nigeria that are refugees can find their footing until there is peace back in their various places. Do you have any final words?
Thank you very much for having us.
We want to say a very big thank you to you, Efoge Innocent, Zonal Coordinator, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and IDP South. Thank you so much for your time this morning. And of course, Evelyn Kotono from Uganda.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much. Evelyn is Associate Field Officer, United Nations High Commission for Refugees. Thank you so much, and well done for the good work you people are doing as well.
That's something we needed to say. Thank you to everyone who puts their life on the line. That was in my head. Yes, thank you so much for bringing it up, because a lot of people, you came from Uganda to serve in Nigeria. You probably go to different countries at different times. So thank you to everyone who partners with the federal government and UNHCR to get this work done for us. We absolutely appreciate you on behalf of all the refugees. That's all we will take at this time with this particular interview. It's been breathtaking getting to learn that in our neighborhoods there may be people that came in from other countries. Make sure that you give them hope away from home. And that's all we'll take at this time. Stay tuned for them.
Many thanks for still being there. Of course, that particular conversation there was on World Refugee Day, which is celebrated today every 20th of June. And it's just a way to commemorate with all those that have fled their country home, seeking asylum in other countries. And we have a whole lot of them right here in Nigeria, and of course in our Akwa Ibom state as well. But this is also to let you know and remind you that refugees are human beings just like any one of us, and we have to give them all the support that they need to reintegrate back into society. And that's it. Going now to our second conversation for the morning. Of course, still on the issues of communal clashes, actually, there's been an outcry by some group of people, especially those from Eastern Obolo, a community right here in Akwa Ibom State, on the remapping of Akwa Ibom State. This has caused a lot of rifts and communal clashes as we speak. But joining us this morning to give more light to this particular issue, we know that the remapping issue came on board during the immediate past administration of former Governor Dom Emmanuel, and that he is a legal practitioner and a financial secretary, Nigerian Bar Association, UYO. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Serious issues we're going to be discussing this morning: Eastern Obolo, PIA. If you want to even look at the reason why we are having all of these issues in terms of the remapping, it's what we consider as the Petroleum Industry Act. There's oil in Eastern Obolo, or let's say natural resources, and for the people of Eastern Obolo, that community, they are like, if we do a remapping, that means government is trying to take what belongs to us and give to some other community, and that's why we are having this conversation that we are having. But just give us like give us an insight to exactly the stance of the people of the community and the stance of government.
Well, what we have as for the community's position is that the government don't have the power to cede our lands to anybody. We came to where we are today, and it's not just Eastern Obolo, it cuts across Eastern Obolo, Ibono, and Mbo. These are three local governments. We share contiguous boundaries, and we share boundary with the Atlantic Ocean. Now, the idea of Akwa Ibom State government coming up, which is, I always say, it's not the EBBO project. It is just a project of few greedy persons. And when you say mapping of Akwa Ibom, it's not. It is the mapping of Eket Senatorial District. Because the map in any way does not affect any other part of Akwa Ibom State.
Okay.
First, it is discrimination, and it's against the law for you to even make law targeted against a particular group of people.
Now, does Akwa Ibom State have a map of its own?
Akwa Ibom State have a valid map. They tendered that map. It was the same map they used some time ago in 2009 in AG River State and AG Akwa Ibom State, which they got several oil wells. This map, the certified true copies, are in the Supreme Court. Also, the Surveyor General of Federation have issued us with a certified true copy of Akwa Ibom State map, showing that Akwa Ibom State have a map. What happened is that some few greedy persons just feel that they can use the powers because they are in government, as it then was, to alter boundaries and give favor to their local government of origin.
Now, why do you think that the immediate past administration, of course led by former Governor Domi,
EIA. Now, when you look at it, the state government have been using resources from oil to develop the state. You go to Eastern Obolo, it's an eyesore. I wish that your TV station can move around Eastern Obolo. Majority of the proceeds of oil comes from the offshore and the onshore, which we have all of this in Eastern Obolo. We've not got development in our place. We have terrible roads. We have abandoned government projects, no government presence. The medical center in Eastern Obolo is not working.
But you have representatives.
We have
at different levels of government.
We have representative, but who calls the shot is the state government.
But we also see the fact that, you know, some paramount rulers and monarchs, like in that whole Eket region, have said that the move to remap the state, like you said, it's majorly a move to have remapped Eket, as it were, is one way to end communal clashes in Akwa Ibom State. So what would you say, you know, when you see it's more like royal fathers selling out the people for...
The point is, I expected royal fathers to advise the younger ones very well. But the royal fathers we have these days are persons, first, who are never entitled to be in that position because they got there because they could influence the system to get it. And when you see a royal father who knows, they were supposed to be the custodian of custom and tradition and truth. I was born by a traditional ruler. My father was the pioneer clan head of my clan. So I know when my father believes that the truth will always win. No matter how much it is not in his favor, he will speak the truth. These were royal fathers. The crops of persons we have today speak because they are eating.
Okay, so part of the reasons that we have is the Udom Emmanuel-led administration had moved to do this remapping, but we do conversations and paperwork to say this remapping is done. Why I'm asking this question from this angle is, in recent times, we've begun to hear that there's a lot of communal clashes. People are allegedly being killed in the borderlines of these different communities. So I am saying, did the state government make the move to go further into remapping, and why are the tales of killings?
Well, what happened is that the state government surreptitiously tried to remap the place after they passed the law. The law came on sometimes in 2021. We went to court. We got a judgment against the state, which they never appealed. They abandoned it, so to say, and then got us to support their candidate of choice. We all played the party politics and supported PDP. After the election on 4th of April, they woke up, passed a bill. The bill had the first and second reading the same day. That was an holiday. Then fixed public hearing on 11, which was after the Easter. On 11, they had a kind of a fast. They've occupied certain territories. I was there myself. They made some presentations. We went there. We stated our position. First, that there's a court order stopping this whole process. We submitted our position and left. The House compiled a report, which the said report was just repetition of what the other guys presented. And on that, on 12, the law was passed by the House. On 13, the map came out. Meaning that the map was already prepared ab initio. The law says that it was to empower the Surveyor General to go do remapping. So will the Surveyor General have done the remapping overnight? And the law was signed by Udom on 20th, and the map was also signed on 20th, the same day, showing that all these things were prepared and kept.
So but that shows us that there's a lot of gap in that whole process.
First, that was the most horridly passed law. And this is a law that affects like the interests of several communities. And then you rushed and do it in such a hasty manner. Why they rushed about it?
Now, I asked the question and I was expecting, you know, deep analysis on that. When you say that all of this is happening because of greed, we begin to ask questions. What is the real interest of the past administration in this particular remapping? Let's know.
Okay, the real interest of the government of Akwa Ibom State is that over time, government have been receiving proceeds of the oil and gas from the oil and gas sector, which accrue from this area. They use it for their benefit to develop. If you go to now, we now have several dual carriage roads.
Okay.
We don't have a single road throughout the administration of Udom Manwa.
In which senatorial district are you talking about?
Which is Eke senatorial district. Now, when the PIA was passed by the president, now giving host community direct access to this fund to manage at least 3% from the proceeds of oil and gas.
Yeah.
Now that was where the issue of host community became a serious issue. They now want to make everybody who lives close to the Atlantic Ocean host community, thereby cutting across not just a portion of land. If we were talking about people taking an empty forest, it would have been better. But these are communities where people had buried their fathers.
Ancestral homes.
Ancestral homes that you want to cut across to get access to the Atlantic Ocean. In fact, as we speak, my local government headquarters has been cut off. So I'm wondering if they will go ask the National Assembly to amend the constitution, so that, because you can't alter a local government as such. If once you alter it, subsection 5 of section 8 sub 5 says that you have to make returns to the National Assembly to correct the name of that place, because every local government and their headquarters is listed in the constitution.
Okay. Now, we are asked a very pertinent question, but before we even look at why we are having clashes between communities, what is the stance and the position of the, boundary commission? Because I know that whatever we are doing, there is going to be some kinds of alliances with the boundary commission to come and begin to, set the boundaries right.
Well, the good part is that yesterday I heard the National Boundaries Commission filed their papers in court, and they said that the state government does not have power to do what they are doing. It is the National Boundary Commission that can do this if need be. And that was why the Surveyor General issued us with a map when the state claims that they have no map. The Surveyor General of Federation, who is a party in the case in court, issued us with a certified true copy of the map of the state. So the National Boundary Commission position is that I'm not holding brief for them.
The state government is on an illegal move against its own citizens.
Its own citizens.
So
well, let me put it correct. The state government wished, as are those who had the power of the state then, thinks they can use the instrumentality of the state to do whatever they want, thereby passing a discriminative and offensive law against a particular people. And section 42 of the constitution makes it very clear: you cannot pass a law or do any act which favors a particular ethnic group against the other.
So, still getting back to that conversation now, why are we having the fighting? Because sometimes, like you've clearly said, even by the constitution, sometimes we make policies, but then it's the common Nigerians that suffer. Now, one brother is taking a machete against the other one because the state government wants to move their land boundaries. What exactly is happening on the home front, as you've heard so far?
Well, our youth had protested against the remapping. You took several steps to ensure that no surveyor or whoever comes into the place to carry out the remapping exercise, because they've drawn what they've drawn, but they don't have the coordinate. They need to come down to the place and get the coordinate. That was why we said that there was nobody, our youth carry out those protests. Now the issue of crisis is that the Ikorobasi people go, as we speak, are attacking Obolo people, whether you are from River State as an Andoni man or you're from Ibon or Imbu. All of this, much as they tag you as Obolo persons, they have gone to several houses in Ete, mostly Ete, to attack and destroy houses, and they got some persons in that process, and they were macheting them, piecing them as if they were a piece of meat.
So these are verified things
happening. I have the names of the two persons in that video where they were cutting like some piece of cake.
So what's the place of the state police force with this? Because
the security agencies.
Yes, security agencies in the states.
I don't know. I don't know why the government have not done anything towards, because I believe the governor made a statement meaning he has seen the picture. He has seen that particular video. So I can't even watch that video because it's horrible. You see,
because we are also very particular in terms of not sending out fake reports.
Exactly.
Here we know that we heard of a particular video that was trending, but the veracity of that video is what we do not know at the moment. So if you as a person from that locality will sit here and say that those videos or that particular video is true, then it's quite worrisome.
Those videos are true. Those guys were speaking Ibibio. Those Benobodumdi, like bring the Obolo people so that we will kill them more. So they were making libations. If you watch the video, there are clear facts that they were speaking Ibibio.
And this is traced back to the issue of attempting to remap their land.
It is traced back to these are the Ikorok and Odo people. The truth is, there has been
that the remapping is going to favor.
Yes.
The people that the remapping is going to favor are those fighting against those who already have the map in their favor.
No, those that the map is going to favor are the ones who feels that our people had no right to protest against the remapping. Now, the issues between the Korok and Odo and Amazaba community, these people, the Amazaba people have been on exile for the past 15 years. And every effort to resettle them by the previous administration, which they never had so much political will to do. Because I don't see why government delegation will be going on a mission and then some group of guys will attack the government delegation and they will run back. And the local government chairman of Ikorobasi came out and said that they never asked the Amazaba people to return to their home. They were only asking government to come and see the land. So you understand? So there was issue between those areas. And then that escalated. Whoever, and I always tell people that someone who has been on exile for the past 14 years or so cannot be the one attacking your people. Where did they come from to attack? Their villages have been burned, and destroy few of their properties, and then thereafter find a reason to begin to go after. It's as bad that they've been going from hotels to hotels within Padenin to look for people from Eastern Obolo to kill.
So these are very strong, assertions that you're making.
True.
And right now, we personally cannot back that up. But we needed to have this conversation because there's so many speculations around there of an, intrastate crisis going on because of the remapping of the state. But time would not even allow us because we need to know the place of the traditional rulers, paramount rulers, and the state government in making sure that this does not escalate. There's a possibility that you can stand in the gap, reach out in terms of writing now to the leaders, the traditional rulers of your climb, and then the state government to see how they can visit this.
Well, over time, not just because of this, I've been an advocate for peace. I was born by an Ibibio woman, so whichever you see is that the two sides are my people. I've had more affinity with my mother place. I've grown up over time relating with them so well. So if there's a conflict as such, it will affect me. And over time, we've been trying to see how we talk to some person. I had spoken with some of my friends who are lawyers from Ikodobasi. We are all lawyers. We attend courts in these places. This is where we work. Now as we speak, we can't go to court in that area. So why not we, the lawyers, sit down and brainstorm on the possible way we can avert this issue? Before this issue of remapping came up this way, I raised it in the NBA meeting. I said that we as lawyers, we have to give direction. We can't be compliant. We can't just keep quiet over this issue and allow these things to go on, that it may get to this point. That was my warning. And up to today now, this is where we are. But however, I will try my best. My paramount ruler is willing to talk peace. I know that I'm not holding his brief for him, but I've spoken with him severally on this. He's ready for peace. The people of Amazaba community, they are ready for peace. At least I had the privilege of marrying from there, and I can at least advise them. They are ready for peace. The only people that I don't know their state of mind is the Ikorok and other people who, over the years, had refused peace to reign.
It's serious issues here and a big concern as government needs to look into this and try to see how they can, you know, bring a stop to the communal clashes, at least for the now. Let us see how peace can be restored to these areas while we are still also looking at the issue of the remapping. And I think at this point we'll also ask government. I know that this happened, this issue was brought up in the immediate past administration. We don't know how Governor Omoino is going to be taking the matter, but we also hope that whatever government is doing will be to the benefit of all those in question. But we want to say a very big thank you to you for coming on the show this morning. It's been great pleasure talking to you. Sunday Uko Afiko Esquire, a legal practitioner and financial secretary, Nigerian Bar Association. Uyo, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right. This is where we get to draw the curtains on the show this morning. It's been a great show. Don't forget that the talks on the lips of a lot of Nigerians now is bordering on the sack of service chiefs in Nigeria, and of course the recruitment or appointment of new ones. It's been a wonderful time.
It's been a wonderful time. Of course, the conversation continues on Twitter, Spectrum TV online, and all other social media platforms. Let's get your thoughts on what the president is doing. Some papers called it Hurricane Tinubu. What are your thoughts? Of course, my name is Uyaya Nek. Great pleasure doing this with you today. Let's do this again tomorrow.
My name is Janice Coburn. We'll definitely see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.